You walk and walk and walk, get a coffee, walk some more, get a pint of Guinness, go to another place, sit down for a little bit of lunch, have a glass of wine, and your photos get worse and worse, but you're happier and happier. I was like, that's what dreams are made of. That's why I don't think there's anything better, hobby-wise, than photography to make you pay so much more attention to everything. I think it's all just about how can I get what I want? And these are the tools I have to make that happen. It's all just problem solving. If I didn't take photos, I wouldn't be paying attention. So I guess it would have been around 2008. I started using my dad's Pentax Semi Super. For every roll that you dropped off at Jessup, they gave you a free one back. So I never really had to pay for film, just had to pay for development, which was great. And then I fell into restaurant photography. I needed a digital for that, and I'd never really shot digital. So I started shooting digital, had a little X100T. One of my friends picked up a film camera and got really, really into it. And he started bugging out on it and getting really nerdy on it. And then it was his passion and his fun he was finding it that really got me back into it. 2016, 17 maybe, that I started shooting film again. But now I still shoot digital for work alongside my personal projects for film, and shooting more than ever. There's this reservoir that's above Clissold Park, and it's got these 3 tower blocks. I've seen somebody do a photo of it before when they were under construction. I think it might have been Robin Friend, or they were being fixed or something. And I've wanted to take a photo of it for ages, but I've always got the dog, and it's a wildlife thing, so you can't go into it with animals. And I don't have the dog today because you're here, and I've got someone to take the dog. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk up to that thing that I always wanted to go and take a photo of. So Mamiya 7, and then I got the MP, which I got last month. Because I kind of drift between, I'm not a street photographer, but I'm not a landscape photographer. I kind of like observational, documentary, landscape. I don't really know. I kind of don't really fit into any box, I guess. If there's a wide open vista sort of thing, I kind of just go for Mamiya. And then if it's something close up, they're very different because this is a 50mm equivalent and this is a 28. So that I'm getting 2 very, very different kind of things out of it. Whereas I think if it's people and it's a really busy situation, but again, I don't really shoot street like that. I don't know. I think I just kind of pick and choose. Sometimes I'll just shoot one on each. But I should probably get some film for it. The difference between me and somebody else taking a photo of the scene is that I saw something that somebody else might not have seen, and that's why I got that photo. It's not because I'm a gifted, technically good photographer. It's because I saw that and somebody else didn't see it. Soul Lighter, if you look at Soul Lighter's photos, are super abstract, especially for the time. He saw something with reflections and all these things that other people weren't seeing. His gift of taking the photo and using a camera is kind of irrelevant in this scenarios. That's just a tool for him to go, I've seen something, I need to make sure that other people can now see that, and this is what I'm going to use to do that. But I think photography is just problem solving. You're shooting into the sun, and you know that that's going to give you lens flare, or something like this, or it's going to make something backlit, or silhouette, or something like that. It's your job to then find a way to avoid that and to be able to get something out of it. Aperture and some people just use it as stops of light, and some people use it as artistic vision. I think it's all just about how can I get what I want, and these are the tools I have to to make that happen. It's like, it's all just problem solving. I feel like other people are kind of way clearer in what they want to take, whereas I kind of like just drift. I'm like such a drifter of, if something catches my eye, it catches my eye. I find that can be anything from things that are just neat and symmetrical. There was this car in front of this river, this lake in Japan, and then the cloud was perfectly in this gap, perfectly above this car, and I was like, that's why I want it. It's not because of the car. It's because everything, it's all layered up, so it's like bottom, middle, top. I don't know, there's so many things that have to be right for me to want to take it. I don't tend to just like snap, 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 snap. As you can tell, I haven't really taken that many photos. But I do think that as soon as the light goes away, I'm like, I don't want to take any photos. Which I think is a problem, I think it's a problem. I think I limit myself too much for that. But every time I get them back, I'm like, I don't like it, so what's the point of even doing it? It's like I look at a scene and I go, I know I can make a really great photo of that. It's not so much when I'm doing it that I'm like, yeah, that's a really good one. If that makes sense. I'm kind of approaching it going, that's a done deal. Because obviously the difference with shooting street, you're going in somewhere and it hasn't happened yet. So you're not predicting it. Whereas I'm walking up to, like, I really got obsessed with like post-storm lights. So the idea of like, when it's just rained. I took this photo of this, it's called Chapel Cornwall in Cornwall, and there's this big hill, which is Cornwall, and then there's this huge cloud above it, like enormous, but there's blue skies, and the cloud is gnarly and a bit dark, and then the blue skies there. And I was driving along with my mum, before I'd even taken the photo, I drove past it and I was like, that is just a ridiculous photo. I can't not get that right. And I kind of tend to walk into those situations going, I haven't taken a good photo. The challenge is finding the really good photo, not actually taking it. I'm not going in there going, now I need to make this beautiful photo. I'm kind of going in like, you'd have to be a fool to fuck this up. Net curtains. But old house, so what you quite often find with parks like this is that you get like an old vicaragey kind of building, or like an old like kind of gatekeeper's house somewhere within it, and I always kind of like them. I think they're beautiful. Little bit of light coming onto that, but also I just like how shapely it is, like with the grass and this. Again, I'm just thinking about it as like blocks of things. So it's like a lovely block, another block of shrubbery, and then a little bit of the detail. Everyone says that my photos look warm because I see the world through these tobacco-tinted Moscows. And then I look at the photos afterwards and I'm like, that's nowhere near as warm as it was when I was taking it. My friend Charlie's always like, well, that's just because you're looking at everything through those glasses. And I was like, yeah, maybe that's true. Ideally, I would have a wider lens, I think, but. World's most pathetic sounding shutter. You and that guy have a nice mirror. So this is the way I try to, like, when I shoot 35mm, it's kind of mainly like you guys do. Right. You and your street crew. See, I've got no crew. I'm very like a lonesome guy. You guys all have your.
It's an open door. You can walk down there.
Yeah, I walk down there with my Mamiya 7. People laugh at me. I watched one with Dan. He was talking about how he'll end up just chatting and then he won't take photos. Whereas for me, I get just really jealous. So I don't want to know that somebody's taking a really sick photo because it'll piss me off. Especially like me and my friend went to Greece, Charlie Sarsfield, he's a really great photographer and director, and we were just walking around taking photos. I could feel us both going, oh, I want to get that. I was like, oh. And then when he got it, and I'm like, you prick, I want to get it. I'm just going to get it anyway. But you don't have to, I guess you don't have to worry about that so much for street, but I would still be pissed off to see someone else get a really good one. I can't believe how lucky we are. This is mental. Feels almost romantic, mate, just me and you. All right. I'm really clumsy as well, I drop everything, so let's watch me do that. There we go. Very good. Mate, tell you what, I'm very happy with this. Without seeing them, but I'm quite happy with them. I'm quite nostalgic. So I think most of me taking photos comes from like capturing something and having it forever. I very rarely come away and go, that was an amazing photo, I'm really, really proud of that. I've maybe had it like 6 times. But the other times I'm kind of like, I know that in 30 years time, I'll really want to have had this. But I think there's actually things that now when I look at photos I took back in like 2009, 2010, that I'm sad that I don't do now because I'm focusing too much on making nice, pretty photos that I'm forgetting about taking photos of my friends. And I look back at those photos and I look at photos of my friends when we're younger. I've got a friend called Louis King and I've been taking photos of him since we first met. I've got photos of him for our entire youth and up until now he's got 2 kids and I'm taking photos of him with both of his newborns. So one day I'll just have a project all just called Louis or something like that. And but I look back at those photos and like, oh, I really don't want to get to 50 and look back at my 30s and not have any of those photos. So I've been making a conscious effort to, like, I take another camera with a flash to the pub to like just get all those little photos. Whenever I have a party, I always have a camera with a flash. Because I feel like, because now I'm taking it so seriously, I'm missing out on all those other little bits, which I might end up being more important. My favorite photo I've ever taken, I've got a print of it, so I'll show you, but isn't of him, but it's of him. So it's of a bed that he slept in, and it's called Where Louis Slept, and it's just of a bed in a room. I took a photo of him and his partner, Elisa, when they first had their firstborn, and then last month I took a photo of them in their first house they bought with their newborn. If I didn't have all that, the ending wouldn't mean so much. But I think when I'm like 50, and I'm going to continue taking photos of him with this one bed photo in the middle, I want to have that for lots of things. Yes, here it is. Here's the bed. So this is where Louis slept. He's so neat, obviously. Like he just kind of got out of bed, just left this little corner open. I don't know why. I've just never really got over it. So that was just one of my. This is the warmth of it. Yeah, I'm really, really stoked with that one. It's a good one. It was on my friend's stag, and we hired this house in Cheddar. My friend Louis got up really early, and I took a photo of his bed in this beautiful room, and I love that. And then the other one would be the photo of the 3 girls walking in front of the ship, which is an interesting one because the amount of people that would message me and say, "Is this real?" doesn't look real because it's like too perfect. It kind of looks like a Rimowa ad, like people walking their suitcases along. But I was really just in the right place at the right time. Like I was sat at that port and I ran and I saw them. And if you see on the contact sheet, it's just one frame. There's nothing else either side. Just like got so bloody lucky that moment. You can see how quickly they moved off because like the rope is still being pulled up. Yeah, there. So at the port, and then there, they came straight in. I was like, just one chance. So there you go, there's your proof, people of the world, that I didn't fake it and it really happened like that. I really hate it when people overlap. So I moved around like panning until I got to the point where everybody was in their own little position, like boom, 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 boom. This is the same as that one, but you can tell that one needed scale. The one that I've got on the wall is so much better when it's big. Like the sky looks much like gnarlier than normal. This is Burano, so it's an island off of Venice. This one is in the book, I think. This is one of the biggest prints I've ever made. I printed that to A0 for somebody. Really big. This is in Syros. This is, Ghanaian crew shots I was doing. Then, and then this is Louis. This is Louis's naming ceremony for his daughter that we took photos of. You can see how happy. And then this is recent, so this is Mount Fuji. Getting my scans back. I think that's the exciting bit. Like, I don't care about the posting bit so much. It's like the excitement of when you get, especially when you're away and I've shot like 30 rolls and then you get all of them back in one go and you're like, oh, I forgot about that one, I forgot about that one, I forgot that one. That's really nice. But I think that, again, I don't really think about it in a romantic way, which I do think people expect you to do with film. It's like the whole thing of like, you shoot slower because it's film. And I'm like, tell, 1970s Joel Merowitz and ask him if he shot slow. You don't shoot slow, you shoot at the speed you can. The only reason people are shooting slower now is because it's 4 times the price of it used to be. Not because it's like a personal choice. It's not I'm not thinking more. I can blast off as many frames as I want. It's just like, but there's always kind of like preconceptions with film photography and like the rules and the romance of it. I love the process of it. I love loading a roll and I love getting my scans back. But that's about as far as it goes, really. The only thing you need your camera to do is you need to enjoy it for enough to want you to take it out. It doesn't matter, like if you're shooting on a, like I started out using an ME Super, which I still love those cameras, like Pentax ME Super. I used to be able to pick them up for like 25 quid back in like 2008. If you don't enjoy using it, you're never gonna take it out. It's what I always say when people say, oh, why are you on the M6 hype or the MP hype, like a boy? I wanna take it out. I enjoy using it. If you don't enjoy using it, you're not gonna take photos. But that's what I think is great about, and we were talking about it recently, we're gonna go this way, talking about Peter McKinnon. I think he's such a good example of this, he got into a bit of a rut with his digital photography, and all he needed to kind of feel inspired again was to just change up the way he was taking photos. And sometimes that's all you need to kind of get you inspired again. That's why sometimes a new camera is a good thing. And it's very easy to get into a rut with photography. He's now really excited about it, and that's all that's important, isn't it? But I think there's a problem with the film photography and photography community in general, is that people are focusing too much with those sort of things. It's like, especially with him, the idea of, oh, well, he's now shooting film, or why doesn't he like digital anymore? This whole digital film rubbish. I hate it so much. And it's like it's just photography. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter what you did it on. It doesn't make it any better. And I was like, it's just about if somebody enjoys it or not, isn't it? Obviously, I've got Kianos coming out in April, which is my first book, which I spent 5 years doing. I think once that's out and in the thing, I want to do a show, first time doing that. But I don't really have any big aspirations for that side of my photography. I think people think that if you have a big following on Instagram and you're posting this thing, and if you're putting a book out or things like that, then that must be your big thing. Whereas reality is like my other work is probably where my goals sit. Financially, career-wise, those things are really important. And I try not to think too much about where I want my personal work to be beyond I've got a book out. I don't know, just making stuff I'm proud of is important, I think. I started taking the photos for it, not that I was planning or I thought about that I was doing it then, but my first trip to Greece in 2019, went to Milos and Sifnos. But it probably wasn't until maybe I've been going every year, probably wasn't until maybe 2022 that I was like, I've definitely got like a project's worth of stuff here. I'm not very good at making like decisions at the start of something and going, right, I'm gonna make this about this and then I work it. I've been trying, there's a few things I've been working on, but it's quite a slow process for me. And then when I would go back on the previous trips, like 2022 and 2023, I was making work purposefully to fill gaps that I had. So I was like, I need more detail shots, or I need more people, because I wasn't, at the start of this project, I wasn't taking a photo of any people. I was kind of like, people ruin everything. Yeah. like a hermit. Larry Sultan, it's one of my favourite books ever, which is this one. It's from this book, which is just like, I think this project is unbelievable. Just photos of him and his parents, just like the colours of all these. They're amazing. This is, yeah, super inspiring book for me, this. Chris Killip is unbelievable. His photos of like the sea coal, but there's obviously the photo that everybody knows. That's the sort of like, that's like a perfect photo for me. There's just like the composition of everything and the way everything just folds in so nicely, and it's all just got, everything's got space, but it's quite edges by Harry Gruet. So stuff from Ireland, stuff from Belgium, stuff from Morocco. This is what I mean, like when I discovered him after the fact, when I was taking photos, and then I saw this and I was like, this is how I think about photos. So to see somebody else doing it after the fact was so satisfying. But I would say that one of the biggest, one of the most important books I own, is this. I just think Robin Friend is just such an incredible photographer. God, like unbelievable. But he takes just the most beautiful photos of the UK. That's why it's called Bastard Countryside, like. But it's all over the UK. He took this large format camera down to the bottom of a mine shaft in Wales, and he had it on like a dinghy. So there's a mine shaft in Wales that people throw their cars down to get rid of them. I mean, going all the way down there with a large format camera to take that photo. This is insane. This shipwreck has been there forever now. I remember when it hit. It's just off Land's End. But again, I don't take photos like these. You know, these aren't the sort of photos I take, but this was like, oh.
No way.
Yeah. That's the only photo I've ever seen of it.
That is exactly where we were earlier.
That's where we were earlier. Yeah. The perfect photo book, the perfect project. It's just, do you know what I love is that it's how chronological it is and like geographic, like, you know, starting in London, but also all these places in North London are places right where I grew up. Oh, how amazing is that though? It's nuts, isn't it? It's just so beautiful. It's like a painting. It's not real. Influence is good, but too much influence kind of restricts you. Go and make work without thinking about where you're putting it and what it's being used for and who's going to see it. I remember I went through a stage where I would take photos and I'd be like, this will do well on Instagram, or this will do well on thingy. And it wasn't until I stopped doing that my Instagram picked up, because I was doing something that other people weren't taking photos of. I think that taught me a real lesson in the idea of like, I was like, I need to go and take photos of this because that's what's popping off on this and that. And it wasn't until I was going to take photos of different neighborhoods in London or like bits of the Barbican Centre. And because Instagram was full of people taking photos of diners and basketball hoops, that mine then stood out. So influence is good, but don't just, if you go on Instagram and you see things, don't feel like that because that one has popped off. That means that you need to go and then do that as well. If I didn't take photos, I wouldn't be paying attention, and I'd probably be on my phone, and I'd be on holiday, I'd be on my phone. Whereas, because that's there and I've got something else and I'm constantly looking for stuff, it makes me pay attention. And I think it's important to pay attention, especially if you're somewhere new. You don't get to experience something new if you're constantly walking around just taking photos on your phone, because then the next minute you get distracted by a text that's on your phone. I mean, I'm on my phone a lot. I'm a normal person in this day and age that uses Instagram, and I'm on my phone too much. But when I'm away, I'm not on my phone at all, because I'm like, I just want to take photos of all this stuff and I want to see all this stuff. For people watching this, I'd probably say, like, if you're starting out, I wouldn't think about it as a beginning, because I don't think anyone is particularly anywhere near an end of making anything. I think just shoot as much as you can and always have it with you, and find other people that like doing it as well and talk to them about it and meet friends doing it, and just try not to take it so seriously and don't think too much about an end goal. I just really wouldn't think about an end goal. I just think about developing your craft. You don't know what kind of photographer you are until you kind of try it all a bit, and don't take it so seriously.